The missing jewel heist. It was a cold winter morning when Detective James received a call from the police department. There was a report of a missing jewel heist, and it was not your average burglary case. This was a high-profile theft that could make or break James' career. He arrived at the scene of the crime, the famous Diamond Museum. As he entered the museum, he noticed that the glass displays were shattered, and the jewels were missing. James interviewed the security guards on duty that night and found out that the alarms were deactivated before the robbery took place. The museum was equipped with the highest level of security systems in the city, and this was not an easy job for someone to pull off. James spent countless hours investigating the crime scene, questioning witnesses, and reviewing the surveillance footage. As the days passed, James still had no leads on the culprits. That was until he caught a break. A man named Jack, who was a known criminal, was caught trying to sell the stolen jewels to a black market dealer. James arrested Jack and brought him in for questioning. Jack denied being involved in the heist and claimed that he was only selling the jewels for a friend. James didn't believe him and decided to dig deeper. After interrogating Jack again, he finally broke and gave up the name of his accomplice, a woman named Eva. Eva was a cunning thief who had been planning the heist for months. She had carefully studied the museum's security system to find the perfect time for the heist. James tracked down Eva, and she was caught red-handed with the jewels still in her possession. Eva confessed to the crime and revealed that she had a partner who helped her deactivate the alarms. She refused to give up the name of her partner, but James was determined to solve the case. He dug deeper and found evidence that led him to the partner, a former employee of the Diamond Museum. The employee, who had been fired from his job, wanted revenge and agreed to help Eva get inside the museum. In the end, justice prevailed, and both Eva and her accomplice were arrested and charged with the missing jewel heist. James was praised for his excellent detective skills, and his career soared to new heights. The Enigma of the Midnight Mansion. Once upon a time in the heart of the bustling city, Detective Arthur Hastings found himself intrigued by a peculiar case. He received a cryptic letter from an anonymous source, tipping him off about a mysterious occurrence at the Midnight Mansion. Eager to unravel this enigma, Detective Hastings set off under the moonlit sky to the mansion's eerie location. The mansion stood tall and intimidating, its dark facade casting an ominous shadow over the surrounding neighborhood. As he entered the grand entrance hall, Detective Hastings discovered a group of guests huddled together, whispering anxiously. Their eyes widened with a mixture of fear and curiosity, revealing that something inexplicable had transpired. The detective took a deep breath and approached the nervous mansion owner, Mr. Samuel Blackwood. With a calm demeanor, Detective Hastings asked for an account of the strange events that had unfolded. Mr. Blackwood explained that every night, at the stroke of midnight, a ghostly figure would wander the halls of the mansion, vanishing into thin air before anyone could approach it. Guests reported feeling an eerie presence, hearing faint whispers, and seeing flickering lights throughout the house. Determined to solve the mystery, Detective Hastings began his meticulous investigation. He interrogated the guests one by one, searching for any clues that might shed light on the ghostly encounters. However, despite his efforts, the testimonies yielded minimal information, leaving him with more questions than answers. As days turned into weeks, Detective Hastings spent countless nights observing and studying the Midnight Mansion. He meticulously documented every detail and meticulously examined every inch of the old walls. In his tireless pursuit of the truth, he stumbled upon a hidden passage leading to the mansion's basement. Descending into the abyss, he discovered a forgotten secret room containing old journals and dusty artifacts. The journals belonged to a renowned magician named Victor Delacroix, who had vanished mysteriously from the mansion a century ago. With each page turned, the story of Victor Delacroix unraveled. He was a master illusionist who used his skills to create spectacles that left audiences spellbound. However, his final performance at Midnight Mansion went horribly wrong, resulting in his untimely disappearance. Eager to bring closure to this haunting tale, Detective Hastings embarked on an audacious plan. He decided to reconstruct Delacroix's last performance, hoping to summon the spirit of the magician and communicate with him from beyond. On the stroke of midnight, as the guests gathered with bated breath, Detective Hastings performed the final act of Victor Delacroix's show. Smoke billowed, mirrors reflected mesmerizing illusions, and the air crackled with anticipation. And then, in a moment of dazzling spectacle, the ghostly figure materialized. Standing center stage, Detective Hastings, undeterred, engaged in a conversation with the apparition. Through a series of questions and responses, he pieced together the truth. Victor Delacroix had not perished that fateful night but had orchestrated his own disappearance. Driven by a desire for a fresh start, he had taken on a new identity and continued his passion for magic elsewhere, hidden from the world. Though Victor Delacroix's deception had initially spooked the Midnight Mansion's inhabitants, it was relief that swept through them once the truth was revealed. The magic of the mansion was restored, devoid of ghostly apparitions and haunted whispers. With the case finally solved, Detective Arthur Hastings bid farewell to Midnight Mansion, leaving behind a trail of mystery and enchantment. The Midnight Mansion would forever be remembered as a place where illusion and reality blurred, and where secrets were uncovered beneath the watchful eye of the moon. The enigma of the Midnight Murders. Once upon a time, in the small picturesque town of Riverton, Detective Benjamin Reynolds found himself embroiled in a tangled web of mysterious events. It all began when a series of peculiar murders occurred, leaving the entire town gripped with fear and confusion. The first victim was Mr. Arthur Thompson, a renowned art collector known for his eccentric taste in the bizarre. He was found lifeless in his drawing room, surrounded by unusual sculptures and paintings that seemed to hold secrets of their own. Days later, Mrs. Eleanor Hamilton, a local librarian, met an equally untimely demise. Her body was discovered in the library, next to shelves filled with books on ancient spells and enigmatic manuscripts. With each passing murder, the clues became more perplexing. Detective Reynolds tirelessly investigated, questioning witnesses and studying the crime scenes. But the pieces of the puzzle refused to fit together. The townsfolk grew increasingly fearful, locking themselves indoors at night, in fear of becoming the next target. Detective Reynolds knew he needed a fresh perspective to crack the case. He reached out to the renowned psychic, Madame Evangeline, who claimed she could see beyond the physical realm. Skeptical yet desperate, Detective Reynolds welcomed her assistance. Madame Evangeline arrived promptly, with her crystal ball and tarot cards in tow. In a dimly lit room, she closed her eyes, concentrating on the energy lingering in the air. Slowly, the psychic's face contorted in pain, as visions of violence and darkness clouded her mind. She warned Detective Reynolds of an ancient curse that had befallen the town of Riverton. Centuries ago, a powerful sorcerer had been wronged, and in his vengeance, he vowed that every 100 years, a bloodbath would occur, until justice prevailed. As the detective delved deeper into the town's history, he discovered the tale of the long-forgotten sorcerer, who once resided in Riverton. Researching ancient texts and spending countless nights in the town's archives, he uncovered a hidden ritual that could break the curse. With the help of Madame Evangeline's visions and the lingering whispers from the victim's spirits, Detective Reynolds followed the cryptic instructions of the ritual. He gathered a select group of Riverton's bravest souls, including a historian, a professor of folklore, and a skilled locksmith. Together, they ventured into the depths of an abandoned mansion, which was rumored to be the cursed sorcerer's former abode. In a candlelit chamber, they performed the intricate ritual, invoking forgotten deities and reciting ancient incantations, determined to end the cycle of unspeakable horrors. Suddenly, as they completed the final step of the ritual, the air crackled with energy. A blinding light engulfed the room, and when it subsided, they found themselves standing in front of a magnificent statue. It was the sorcerer himself, forever petrified as punishment for his wickedness. The curse had finally been lifted, and with it, peace returned to Riverton. The townsfolk rejoiced, grateful to Detective Benjamin Reynolds and his unlikely band of allies for their bravery and perseverance. With the enigma of the midnight murders solved, Riverton thrived once again, its citizens forever grateful to the detective who had brought an end to their darkest hour. And as for Detective Reynolds, he continued to protect and serve the community, his name forever etched in the history books alongside the tales of the brave and the extraordinary.